Good afternoon. My name is Cole. I'm with the Kingdom of the Rising Winds and the Grand Duchy of Ebonmarch. And I'm here today to talk about Reaving 101. Like all of my 101 videos, I'm not going to go into great details about that. I'll go into more detail later and later videos on this. But today we'll be talking about Reaving. What is Reaving? Reaving is refereeing for Amtgard, essentially. You are the person on the field that calls the shots and the actual final say with determining the rules and everything that goes on in the field. With that said, reaving is very important. I don't know how much football you watch or basketball you watch. I'll watch a lot of college basketball, and referees can change the game a whole lot. And it can change the dynamic of how people play. It can change people's feelings about the game and what to do in certain scenarios. So reaving is very, very important. I say that, but also I feel that more people in this game should at least try out reaving for once or twice if you're going to play the game. Service in Amtgard is always important, especially if you want Amtgard to grow as a organization or as a sport. And refereeing, of course, is very important with that. Not just with tournaments reaving. Those are two different, in my opinion. Tournament reaving and battlefield reaving are two different things. I'll go over that in a second. But it's very, very important for the game. And all right, so let's go into reaving. First thing I always want to go over with reaving is, as a player, be respectful to the reeves. Be respectful, like any other sport you play. A lot of people come into Amtgard not thinking of Amtgard as serious sport as, say, basketball or football. Or some people say watch basketball all the time. They see coaches or whoever yelling at referees all the time and thinking that's acceptable. It's not. Reaving is a hard job, and a lot of times you have to make tough calls. So let's kind of go into that. The first thing I always tell people with reaving is, one, it's a tough job, and then two, read your book. If anyone ever says, hey, I'm thinking about trying to get into reaving, I always say, read over the book, front to back, everything in that book. Yes, it is a large book, but yes, you have to cover all of that. A lot of times people think, well, I'm not the guy that's going to be rating armor this time. I'm just going to be reaving on the field. That is still important to know what armor is what and how it's rated. Because when you're on the field and a person says, I am pretty sure I hit that guy 5 times in his leg, what kind of armor is he wearing? That person more than likely will sit here and lie and say, no, it's 6 points of blah, blah, blah. And because it's this, when he knows he was rated, oh, that thing's only 4 points. But because they're in a heated argument, that person's going to say it's 6 points and XYZ. So, that is what reading the book front to back is very important. Read the very back of the book now. They have a lot of the little disputed things that come up all the time. What happens if a small ball hits the ground and then hits a person? What if it's an arrow that hits the ground and then hits a person, or a light throwy? What if it's all these little tiny things that a lot of people think, well, that's never going to happen. It happens. It happens a lot. And honestly, these little tiny weird things are the things that people are turning to reave to. And saying, does that count? And the thing is, especially how fast paced this game is, you're the person who's going to have to make that call immediately. The other thing I always recommend for a lot of new people who reave, who want to get into reaving, is just do it. I understand it. Understand as a person, as a very competitive person myself, it is a little hard for me to drive 30 minutes out my way to the park, get dressed up, take all my gear out there, go on the field, and say, I am not going to play today, I'm only reaving. I understand it can be hard for a lot of people. But, like I said, if you want to see this actual game grow, you want other people to have a good time also. Because that's the other thing. Growth of your park. One part of your park growing is having good reeves. Because if you have people who come out every week and one person's sloughing, one person is cheating on this, one person has spells they don't have, all kinds of stuff like that. Eventually, yes, one week this person may be mad about it and drop it another week. But eventually this stuff wears on people. And not just that it wears on people, it becomes visible to new people. Where new people who are just learning the game and just learning about the rules and what stuff they can do, that really throws them off when someone is cheating. Saying, well, no, it doesn't do that. Well, this does this. You, as the rules person, as the reeve for the field, need to squash this type of stuff. I've seen parks fall because of that stuff before. I've seen people say, I'm never coming back to this park because so-and-so is sloughing me and I'm done with this place, I'm never going back. I've seen that happen before. It's terrible. All because, one person wasn't thinking too hard. One person wasn't thinking enough. And like that thing is actually this rule. One way to actually get into reaving, like I said, always recommend people just do it. Just try it at least 1 week. At least 1 week a month if you're an active player. I always say for people who've never reaved before, shadow someone. Of course, you have a person who is a reeve. Reaving is a very hard job. You need to pay attention to the field. You need to pay attention to everything going on. So you can't necessarily ask this person on the spot, hey, what's up with this? What's up with this? What's up with this? But always recommend people to shadow. Stand next to me. Well, look at what's going on. And then after the game is over, ask them all the questions you have. Was that really a shot? What was this? What was up with that? A lot of that stuff, because for better or worse, there's a billion rules in this game. In my opinion, for better. There's a billion rules in this game. And that's what makes this game fun. What makes it not fun is when a person, some people cheat not knowing that they're cheating because there's so many rules in it. A person may have just become level 4 at a class and didn't realize that step in the shadow is this or that. Or you can't do X, Y, Z, or especially when it comes to caster classes, spellcasters. There's a lot of, especially when you hit level 6, like as a level 6 healer, you take one archetype, you can't take all these other things. And that person may not have realized that when they've written up their whole sheet. So, like I said, I always recommend people just to do it. Shadow another person to make sure you're doing it right for the next time you try it. Ask questions. Like I said, there's a billion rules in this game. Just ask questions. Ask anybody. Ask people online. Ask people at your park. If you're a newer park and there's a lot of newer people there who are running things, ask online. For most kingdoms, I know most kingdoms have a Facebook page. I know my kingdom has a Facebook page. And just ask away. There's a billion people on there who play, don't play, whatever, who that can answer these questions for you. The people who made the book are online constantly that will answer your question. Ask. Watch videos on YouTube. You're on YouTube right now. So on YouTube, there are a billion videos of people fighting. And if you ever want to, sharpen up your reaving skills, or you want to learn about reaving, just watch through a bunch of videos. Just watch a billion fights. And the more fights you watch, the more you learn about biting mechanics and stuff like that. And did he actually hit him? It's that actual shot. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let me watch it on my TV in the living room so I can see the whole picture of everything going on. Just run through that, because when you're actually on the field and reaving, and there is so much going on here, there's stuff going on here, and this person said, I threw a shot and I wrapped around to his back leg and he didn't take that shot. And you're standing over on this side. There's a lot of stuff that you have to learn about body mechanics and how the game works, and trying to see the full picture of everything that's going on. Like I said, there's a lot to reaving, and that's why I highly recommend people to shadow another person, ask questions. Another part of reaving is you're not always going to be right. Like I said, if you watch basketball, you watch football, you watch any of these things, they have a billion referees around them. Basketball has like 4 referees on the court running up and down with them. Looking at every single thing. And they have to make split decisions right there that could change the outcome of the game. And it's difficult. And, a lot of people at your park you're friends with and stuff like that. And you have to make that call. It may be bad for some people and they may get mad or whatever, but you have to make that tough call. My biggest issue with me reaving when I first started was having to make that difficult call of like, I could barely tell if it did hit or if it didn't hit. Well, they're waiting. The game's still going. They're waiting. You didn't call hold. Did it? And inevitably, any call you make, someone's going to be mad. So just be cognizant of that and roll with it. The only way to get better at reaving is doing more reaving. There's no other way I can really tell people. You can sit down, you can take a reave test back and forward 10 times over. That's only a small part of it. You just have to do it. You have to reave small games, you have to reave big games, you have to reave yourself when you're fighting. I personally, when I'm fighting all the time, I'm constantly thinking about that. I never call another person shot. I reave on myself of like, is it that? Would it always think of that? Always think of that. I mean, of course, you should be thinking that in general while you're fighting, and don't slough people or anything like that. But keep that in mind in general, especially when you're reaving, and like how this person perceived this call. Like, this person is standing here, they threw a shot to this direction, and he swears up and down he got that shoulder. You're standing here, you know he did not. Think about that stuff. How would he perceive it? Okay, yeah, he's wrong. There's a lot of tact you have to have when talking to people as a reeve. I've seen it many, many times where a reeve was in the right 100%. We can watch the video, play it back. That person did not make that shot. But the way the reeve talked to that person made the person not want to play for the rest of that day. So keep that in mind. The way you talk to people can affect and influence things. The last thing you want on the field as a reeve is field justice. No one should have to get to the point with another player that they feel they need to apply field justice to someone. Field justice is essentially, this person's not taking my shot, I'm gonna really hammer it on them. Stuff like that. The last thing I want to go over is, the main thing I want to go over is how hard the job is. But the last thing I want to go over is safety. As a reeve, a lot of people are putting their safety in your hands. What I mean by that is a person gets the wind knocked out of them. They're in the middle of like 20 other people stomping around. You need to be confident enough in what is happening on the field to be able to call safety, to be able to call a hold, to be able to call an emergency. On the field, we don't say hold anymore, I guess it's safety and emergency. To be able to call that on the field. I've seen people seriously injured. I think it was 2 years ago, Keep on the Borderlands, or a year ago, Keep on the Borderlands, like people had their fingers in, like, there's like a swinging door into the castle. People had their fingers in the middle of that. You know, you have to be able to not just see the big picture, but see the small things of, like, don't put your fingers in there because it's going to get chopped off when that door swings open. You know, you're putting, you are this line of safety for everyone else playing also. If you see that a person's playing legally but unsafe, you have to be able to call that stuff. That's why even in the rule books it says you can have your fight after death taken away from you if you're playing unsafely with it. So there's a lot of safety. You have to be very safety minded while playing as a Reeve. And then also safety wise, keep yourself safe. I've seen a lot of Reeves go out there without their golden sash on as a Reeve and be mistaken as a combatant and get shot with an arrow or whatever. You know what I mean? If you're not wearing that gold sash and you're standing around in the middle of all this, people are going to think, oh, that person's playing pest, or that person just didn't have a sash and playing whatever. It's happened. So, the main points I wanted to hit on as a Reeve is, it's a hard job. Just do it. It is best for your community, your local park, Amtgard as a whole, that we have more Reeves, and I highly recommend everyone at least try to Reeve once a month, once every other month. Try it out in your park. And that's all I got.